Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to BKB National Wool Market Report. We had an interview with Jaco Maas, the General Manager of Shift, to find out what the fourth industrial revolution is and what opportunities there are for the wool industry. It was quite a lengthy interview, so we thought that we would divide it into two parts, and we'll broadcast the first part just after the market report. But before we get to the interview, let's have a look what happened in the market. We had a smaller offering than last week, only 7,300 bales on offer, and compared to last week's 10,000 bales that were in the market. Our early market indicators show an increase in the price on wool finer than 20 micron on all types and descriptions, with the biggest gains recorded on the 18.5 micron and finer. The broader microns continue to track downward, ending the day cheaper when compared with the previous auction. And I think that were exactly the same trend we had last week, or actually for the past few weeks, Jock, that the fine wool actually did well, and the
week by week we see a quite strong competition in it. Yeah. We've seen it in Australia, and that is with big offerings that they had there the last month and a half.
Yeah,
40 odd thousand bales. So yeah, it's healthy to see the market in the fines performing like that. Yeah.
I think we started the week with a little bit of catch up maybe to do on the against the Aussies. We started the week a little bit lower than the Aussie levels, and but mainly the rand that strengthened by 1.5% against the American dollar. That were the main factor holding us back to perform even better, to maybe get to that 2.5-3% gain in the market.
It was that 1.5%, with the rand trading at 14.28, 14.30 compared to 14.50 last week.
Yeah.
So definitely it's going to make a difference. Yeah.
Okay. I think the certified sustainable wool, I think it kept its momentum and traded dearer across all types. So it's still keeping its momentum, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, there were some nice clips, good quality clips, spinner types, and we've seen that performing 100%.
I think it might be safe to say that we could expect up in the market of about 1.5 to 2%, absolutely based on early market indicators.
Early market indicator, yeah.
But I think it should be safe to speculate around about the 2% increase maybe.
Yeah. Well, if there were clips with some faulties, isn't it? Higher VMs, lower NKTs, and we've seen it in Australia, and we just follow it. They're gonna get a poor price. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that, and the moment it gets 23 micron or coarser, it just struggles.
Yeah, but what's interesting is on the SA Merino side, 21.5, 22 actually improved. Okay. Some of them to 5% dearer, but it's about time. We've seen them the last 2 months just losing momentum every week. Yeah.
But still on those a little bit coarser types, is the types with a little bit lower CV, a little bit less. Especially the Kempi types, they didn't perform well.
No. It's your mutton merinos with a good NKT, and it's a spinner styles there as well.
Yeah. I think at this stage we are trading about higher by 7 to 7.3% compared to last year. And that's good to see that the market is actually gaining a little bit of momentum. So I think we passed last year's slump, and we're moving away from that. So that's good to see.
Yeah. It's a year ago, and I think we actually in the situation that we actually doing well. I think we're doing very well. We're not going to see the levels that we had in 2018 very soon.
No, I don't think so.
Unfortunately, guys, that's holding back for that. You're gonna hold back another year.
At least.
Yeah.
If I look at the buyers, the main three that comes through week for week, Standard Wool at the top, Modiano bought the second most lot, and Limpreer in third place. So and Standard Wool bought all three of the most expensive types. So thanks a lot to Standard Wool and to all the buyers.
Yeah. Now I think Standard's got a strong contract on that superfines. It was a 15 micron of Jeff Orpin that sold for 214 Rand 80. Second highest 200 Rand for his 4 bales of 8 FFYs. Again, take note, it's 4 bales of FFYs. And then at third place, Jannie Greiling Mooibank from Wakkerstroom. And then I'd just like to mention Christian Wagenaar. His clip had an average of 148 Rand. So yeah, it just shows you that the prices aren't that we wanted to make it out of.
Yeah.
To average 148 is excellent.
It's absolutely excellent to do that. Jannie Greiling, he were in the third place last week as well, so he's getting used to being in the top 10.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice clip. They've been working on that clip. I can just mention there, Matthijs been working on that clip for a while now. Yeah. So yeah, congratulations to Jannie.
Jock, thanks a lot. That is, I think that is all from us. First, we'll have a look at the recording we did with Jaco Maas, and then next week, the 28th, we'll be back with the market report just after the auction. Thanks and have a good evening. Then, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, Jaco Maas, the General Manager of Shift. We have him with us tonight to find out a little bit about the 4th Industrial Revolution and the opportunities there lies within for the wool market. And just have a nice chat about all the technology that's happening around us. Jaco, welcome.
Thank you.
Jock, welcome to you as well.
Okay.
Jaco, maybe give us a short oversight of who is Jaco Maas and where you came from to end up within Shift.
Thanks, Leon. Yeah, I grew up on the West Coast, so I must say this English, just putting it out there. So we're definitely gonna try our best today.
Don't feel alone. I've practiced the Industrial Revolution. I've practiced it a few times.
I studied agricultural administration at Stellenbosch University. I actually did all of my studying at Stellenbosch University. Did an MBA later there. I worked on a citrus farm for about a few years. So I've been a bit in the citrus. That's actually the first place that I got to work with technology. Then I moved on to Absa Bank, where I was a corporate banker for 10 years, specifically in the agricultural market. And I usually say that, I worked with cash flows for 10 years, so I know all about generating a return on investment.
That must be boring. For 10 years. How did you last that long?
I must say your life is way easier than a banker. I was enjoying it way better over here. And then 11 years ago, I actually joined BKB, specifically on the finance side, looking at, and I think we will get to that a little bit later, but looking at how do you unlock value in the value chain? How do you unlock opportunities in the commodity? So we were developing a lot of financing products, which were, I think, difficult at the time. But opportunities are now more coming to play with new technologies coming to par. And then for 7 years, I was the head of IT at BKB. And I think as any industry, any business, the question these days are popping up and say, what is going to disrupt my business? What has the potential with all of these new technologies that's coming to play that going to disrupt our business? And with that, BKB decided to create a business called Shift DX. And Shift then specifically looks after how do I take these 4th Industrial Revolution technologies and package that it's accessible for our day-to-day farmers.
I think what disrupted our business so far for years was normal Reveille fever, that sort of thing. But are you taking it a step further?
I think we need to create the ability with all of these things to see through the value chain. So how do we take these technologies, we package it, and then allow anybody to find its own identity in a world that is now full of all of these technologies. How do you create a specific sheep or a specific bale to find its way from China or Italy to a specific farm? And I think these technologies that we are talking about today creates the ability now for us to address types of risk that we've seen. Usually the whole market goes under if something breaks out like that.
I think that might be, well, with COVID, the whole world was in lockdown. That was a different story. So the best technology wouldn't have pulled us through.
But don't you think the technology was actually the saving grace? We had all of these online auctions.
Yeah, that's true.
We had, I think, what we see from our side is that COVID has closed that gap in technology where you've got your innovators and your early adopters. It has just closed that. We looked at what's happened on digital auctions.
We've been forced to adopt in it.
Look at just how the wool market still operated on something as simple as, Teams, Skype, and all of those type of things. You still have the ability. Zoom, still sell.
Till a short while ago, we were selling on online platforms.
So technology does have an influence on all of our lives.
Absolutely. Jaco, give us a short. What is the fourth industrial revolution? I think only since I've started talking to you about it, I've learned a little bit about it. But it's something we hear about. But up until now, I haven't been really aware of it. What is it, and why should we as BKB and our producers, why should we be aware of it?
It's an interesting thing about the fourth industrial revolution. We talk about it as if it is this far removed, distant thing. However, it's all around us. It's all around us in the fact that I wear a smartwatch that connects me to the internet, which makes me immediately the Internet of Things. We are seeing it in the type of computers that we have that has the ability now to process large volumes of data. We are seeing it all across our country with wind turbines that's coming up, which is also part of the fourth industrial revolution. So if we really take a step back, the first industrial revolution we can all take note of was the steam engine that came to power, that changed the whole way in how we did business. After that, we had electricity that developed a lot of opportunities, and then the PC came. And just thinking back of that era, how can we even imagine doing work these days, without having a laptop, without having access to some sort of the internet even? So then the fourth industrial revolution came to power in the sense that these types of new technologies, the Internet of Things, and we are going to talk about having an RFID tag in a bale here at the back in the wool store, or having an RFID tag in the ear of a sheep. How that makes from a physical animal a digital animal, and then allows us then to use technologies like blockchain and these types of things to move information across a value chain. And it really is exciting times, guys, because it starts unlocking opportunities.
And I think as a broker firm, it's absolutely the time spot on for us to be involved in that. Because in previous times we had Rift Valley fever, as Jock mentioned earlier. We had
foot and mouth
disease. And the whole process stood still, and we were forbidden to export anything because of one or two bales from an infected area that were in the building, and this technology, RFID technology, suddenly opens it up so we can trace the bale from the farm to the.
You can trace it back right to the animal, and if the end processor is going to accept it, why not? That's the whole thing. It's once they actually buy into it, it's us that need to buy into it.
Yeah, I think there's such a lot of opportunities that starts unlocking if you just think of how do we move a physical item like a bale of wool that becomes this data, because this data doesn't come from one source. It comes from a lot of sources that had consensus that this is the truth.
In my language, we call it the story that we're trying to tell.
Story.
Blockchain is just the medium to make that story trustworthy, and that's where our whole story of sustainability and our RWS program, where that fits in and becomes trustworthy within the industry. So
that's exactly the key word here. You're talking about trust.
yeah.
And if you look back at BKB, for 100 years, BKB has been
made use of it so far.
pretty much so. They can see that there is value in the fact that the information can be moved. So the buyers are looking at the information that BKB then presents to them and say, because you've got all of this information, I want to add to that. And that's how the interesting thing about how the blockchain works, because it allows the chain name to start adding, but it needs to create value. And the value is, like I say, there's financial values, there's insurance values, all of those type of things. Just think of you having the ability to tell the story and sell that story for opportunities that can actually...
Yeah, and it's not a new story. It's for years it's been there. It's just to put it on the chain now.
Does it make sense, John?
It does. To put it on paper, nobody's going to read it on paper. Nobody's.
Well, let's look at the let's look at what you can look at the Walmart experience. In Walmart, we've always had traceability. Somebody will say we've always had traceability. In Walmart, they said let's challenge this concept of we've always had traceability. BKB has traceability. The whole industry has traceability. They challenged that through they took a punnet of already diced mangoes and said, okay, you are telling me there's traceability on this punnet of mangoes. Please, how long does it take you to give me traceability back to the source? And he said to his managers, the specific guy in Walmart, he said to them, nobody sleeps. Like, you are going to work 24 hours to find out where this, because I want to know to the hour how long it took to give me traceability. It took them 6 days, 22 hours, and like 18 minutes to come back and say, I've traced this back to source. With blockchain technology, you do it in 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, I can see through the chain, right to the farm, from the RWS suit that has been created by Hugo Boss. They can track it back to where did this come from.
Within seconds.
But there is also the big question about data privacy. And within the POPI Act, nobody in the blockchain, because the information is encrypted, nobody will give access to the next guy without consensus that he can use my data. So we also handle data in the sense that nobody can see it, it's encrypted.
So the producer would have the end say in, are you going to allow to use it or not?
Yes, the producer decides if this information. Information is stored on a blockchain in 3 ways. It can either be public information, it can be private information, and then we call it that it's consortium type of information. Now, consortium information is that because you were the producer, I bought it from you, and you bought it from me, we allow in the consortium to then see the information through that. So nobody else, another buyer cannot see this information, this bale's information. So it's not that the buyer can type in and then see information that he's not allowed to see. So we classify the information accordingly in the chain.